Hello and welcome back to the basement. I've really been wanting to make a video on the school system for a long time, but I just didn't know how to get across how I feel properly. Also, just a quick disclaimer at the start of the video, I'm going to be referencing a video by Dave from Boy in a Band a lot, so please go watch that video first. It's really well made, really funny, really interesting. Good job, Dave, and I'm going to be basing mine on that, but this video is going to be more of a perspective on it because I still am in school right now, so I thought I could give my take on it. Also, I want to say that this video is 100% opinion. No, not 100%. It's a lot of opinion because I feel like I need to get my opinion across to everyone else, so just keep that in mind. And also, I gotta say, before anything else, I do have a high GPA, so I'm not just some kid that doesn't do anything and sits in the back and I'm complaining about it because I'm doing poorly. This is my GPA, I'm doing fine in school, but I still have some serious issues I need to address with it. But I think the basement is just a bit too dank and dark to make a video in, so I think I'm gonna shoot this one outside today. It's a bit windy, but yeah, we'll see. I think I'm going to start this off with why we have school systems, because that matters a lot. Also, I just want to say it's super nice out. It's like 55 degrees on Cape Cod in January. Thank you, climate change. Anyway, back to why do we have school systems? Well, we have school to, 1, make people know things, and 2, teach people how to know things faster. So knowledge and how to get knowledge, which I think are pretty legitimate things that we should have as a goal for society, because humans are so successful in the natural world because our brains are super awesome. And being able to train your brain and know how to use your brain is really important. So those goals for society of people knowing things and knowing how to know things is actually pretty awesome. The only issue is in the United States, we don't do that very well. So let's start off with a statistic. College freshmen, only a couple weeks into their college semester, had already forgotten 60% of what they learned in high school, according to this recent study. Now that is absolutely crazy. 60%, like 3 months later. And that just compounds over time because human memory is fragile like that. So that means people aren't really knowing things because of school. But to be fair, there's the other argument of people knowing how to know things. So what about that? Now, I don't have concrete data on this, but as being a kid in school, I could say it doesn't teach you that in the slightest at all. No way, no, not what school does. What school does teach you how to do is cram and learn things for a short amount of period so you can forget it in a couple days or maybe a week. Now that is bad, because if you get a job after school and your boss is like, hey, you gotta know this, you can't just be like, okay, I'll know that for the next 3 days. Not how that works. You have to be able to learn skills, pick them up, and be able to use them over time. But kids don't learn how to do this because it's not incentivized. If I have a test on this thing, until the midterm or the final, there's a good chance I'm not gonna need to know that for a long time. So I just re-cram it in before that test, and I'm good. That's not good, because that's not a skill people need to learn in the real world. And on top of schools not teaching you things and not teaching you how to learn things, it makes kids really unhappy. You're trapped in there for over a decade of your life. And this article from Psychology Today from 11 years ago sums it up super well. Now, there was a recent Washington Post article that showed that over 55% of kids reported being happy in school most of the time. The only issue is that those people were 4th graders. 4th graders are dumb and young. I'm also dumb and young, but I'm not that dumb and young. And when they tested 8th graders, which it also showed, but they didn't talk about as much, it showed that 55% went down half. It was at like 27% of kids reported being happy all the time in school, which that's a big drop. And if you take that linearly, let's go to college students in 11th grade. That's like 10% of people that are happy in school. That's really not good. And there's a reason for that. There's a thing that's often quoted that says, how can we expect kids to make decisions in life when just a couple months ago they had to ask to go to the bathroom? And that's true. That's not the actual quote, but I'll put the quote right here. Whoa, you want to look at that quote? Now that's a quote. Did you know that's a quote? And there's a reason that that's a problem, because that's basically just how prison works. Schools are often compared to prisons, and they're compared to prisons because they're just like prisons. You're stuck there for so much time of your day, well, actually in prisons all of your time, and you can't do anything without someone more powerful than you saying, yeah, you can use the bathroom, that's okay with me. That's dumb, it's stupid, it's bad. And I think this location is getting boring. I'm gonna go to a new place.
I'm gonna go over there.
Hello? Also, I'm super far away from my camera right now, but I'm using my lav mic, so that's why it might look a little weird. I don't know. So all of this, all it combines into is one big hairball of unknowledgeable kids that can only cram, not learn, and are unhappy. And that's a problem because it hurts the populace. The goal that we all set out to do isn't what we're accomplishing. We're accomplishing creating students like me that know how to fake it, that know how to make themselves care about subjects that they don't care about. Because let's be honest with ourselves, there are tons of smart kids out there. Most kids have potential to be really, really smart. The issue is they don't care because they can't make themselves care. Because these subjects are just things they'd never ever want to do themselves. And you're not opening your eyes, you're closing their eyes, so they really don't want to do it anymore. Kids like me that succeed are kids that know how to fake it. And that's bad, because students aren't testing for smart people. Colleges aren't testing or aren't getting the smart people. They're getting the kids that just can force themselves to care about things they don't. And that's just not what we want to do. We're disincentivizing a good portion of the public to want to learn how to know how to learn. And that's bad, because learning is what makes humans so amazing as a species. Or maybe not amazing, it is 55 in January on Cape Cod. So powerful, how about that? I've heard many teachers say when I complain about stuff like this, that it's the kids' mindset. They need to change their mindset to care. It's their problem. The issue is you can't do that. You can't just say, hey kid, get a new mindset, be more mentally tough, do it anyway. That doesn't work. And I know it doesn't work because I've seen it happen to people like my friends. That's just not how people can learn. So we're teaching kids to be ignorant, which is just not hot. No. So since it's not about mindset, what we're really teaching kids is that they can't learn. And that's bad. So what do we do? Because there has to be a solution. There's always, I just went through the floor. Okay, so with all these problems, what do we do? There has to be a solution. I gotta use my big brain. You gotta use your big ears. Okay, so one of the solutions I found is called a Sudbury school. So a Sudbury, based in Sudbury, Massachusetts, only a cool 110 miles away from my house, is a institutionalized unschool. So what does that mean? So institutionalized, I really hope you know what that means. If you don't, Google it. But unschooling is basically when you put a kid in a room, or not really a room, put a kid in a space with resources and say, learn, do whatever you want, but you gotta do something. In Dave's video, he does a really good interview with a kid that went to a Sudbury school and parents of that kid about how it worked, and that's really good. Go watch his video, please. Basically, the plot synopsis of that video and the unschooling thing is that for the first couple of years that kids go there, they don't understand their time's their own, because either they're very small or they just came from a normal school, and in normal schools, your time isn't yours. You're in jail, basically. As I've heard from people that went there, you don't know when a kid learned to read because they learned on their own accord. And that's what's so powerful about it. When people learn because they want to learn, and they use their innate intuition and curiosity, that's when people really learn. When you learn in schools, you're just forced to do it and cram. You don't learn. But when you do it on your own accord, that's what matters. And that's why Sudbury schools are so popular, because you might not learn all of the topics that you're supposed to in a normal school, but you'll remember them. Because as I said, 60% of high school knowledge was forgotten within weeks into college. Weeks! That's insane! But if you learn on your own accord, this doesn't happen to a great of an extent, which is amazing. The only issue is That's not going to happen. It's way too progressive. And despite the costs being about the same of $6,000 to $9,000 a year or whatever it is for taxpayers, go watch Dave's video, it's just not going to happen. And I know it's not. So what do we do in our school system then? Well, I guess try to simulate it. We can't go total freedom because that's never going to work legislative wise, but maybe we could go halfway there. So you go to school and you have to check in, but instead of going to classes, you have a general goal for the term, and you can go to the teachers to get resources on those classes that you're taking, and maybe you only take 4 instead of 7 classes so you can focus more on them and learn more on them. That's my idea of a great school, where it's just essay based and long term, and you don't actually have classes or busy work, which is great, but again, that's a little bit ambitious. So what do I recommend for schools now? Well, I recommend maybe opening up the curriculum a bit. So let's give an example. In biology, we've worked for a couple weeks on the bodily systems. So maybe for that, instead of working in class, doing all that stuff, the teacher just says, okay, write me an essay on all of the bodily systems and how they interact with each other. Go. And then she's there in class where you can go and ask questions, and you can go and talk to her about it and talk to other kids about what to do. And at the end of the 2 weeks, you all turn in your maybe 10-page papers, and she says, okay, let's see this. Oh, cool, good job, or bad job if you did a bad job on it. And I think that might work. Now again, I don't have all the answers because I only researched this for a couple hours, but I've thought about this for so long, and I want change. Because in the school system right now, I'm not happy. I'm forced to sit there and not have fun. I have so many ambitions. I want to research so many things. I want to build my freaking electric car after the electric bike. That's coming, don't worry about that. But a lot of the time I just can't because I'm doing busy work about things I don't care about that I force myself to care about. Well, TLDR for this entire video. School systems, they're not super great. They don't teach kids how to learn. They don't teach kids things, and they make kids unhappy. There are solutions, but none of them are perfect. That's why when politicians say, we need school system reform, they don't say how, because they don't know how. It's really complicated. But I think if we can work a bit at a time, we can make improvements and help the next generation not have to suffer through what I did, and probably what you did, because mostly people my age or older watch these videos. Anywho, thank you for watching. I know this video was a little bit just here and there throwing things together because this is how my brain works and this is completely unscripted. But I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did and you agreed with me, please share it with your friends so I can get a little bit of traction on this and hopefully maybe even make it up to some administrators and see what they think. Anyway, I hope you have a nice day. See ya.